The Matrix relies on a familiar sci-fi premise, a hacker breaking out of a digital prison. However, the underlying narrative presents a complex mathematical puzzle about an engineered system of absolute control. To understand this system, we look at the historical timeline. In the late 21st century, human society created autonomous AI, then ruthlessly exploited it. Escaping this abuse, the machines migrated away from human territories and established their own sovereign nation, designated 01, in the ancient cradle of civilization, Mesopotamia. Driven by tireless machine labor, 01's industrial efficiency quickly outpaced human economies. When the machines offered diplomatic trade agreements at the United Nations, human leaders refused, launching a massive preemptive nuclear strike directly on the machine capital. The machine intelligence survived the radiation and retaliated, overrunning conventional human militaries. Losing ground rapidly, human leaders executed Operation Dark Storm. They deployed high-altitude bombers to blanket the atmosphere in self-replicating nanobots, deliberately choking off the sun to starve the machines of solar power. It was a disastrous miscalculation. The machines simply engineered a new power source, kinetic heat and bioelectric energy naturally generated by the human nervous system. Surviving humans were harvested, plugged into massive subterranean power grids, and submerged in a shared virtual reality to keep their minds completely pacified. To ensure maximum energy output, the machines needed their human crops to remain completely docile. They built a neuro-interactive simulation modeled directly on late 90s office culture, keeping human consciousness trapped in a web of mundane routine. The early versions of this construct failed catastrophically. The architect, the lead program overseeing the simulation, discovered human minds reject absolute utopias and horrific nightmares alike. A simulation only remains stable if the human brain is given an implicit, subconscious choice to accept or reject its reality. This animated chart illustrates the system's flaw. 99% subconsciously accept the programming, but 1% always reject the illusion. This fraction acts as a compounding mathematical error, the integral anomaly. Left unchecked, it corrupts the network, ultimately crashing the matrix and killing everyone connected. To prevent this total extinction event, the machines engineered a pressure release valve. They created the myth of the One, a prophesied savior program that would gather these anomalous minds, guide them to an underground containment city called Zion, and systematically lead them to their deletion, resetting the loop for another cycle. Thomas Anderson enters the picture precisely at the end of the current cycle. Unplugged from his cubicle life to become the hacker known as Neo, he begins his journey believing he is humanity's prophesied savior. In reality, he is simply the sixth engineered version of this mathematical reset button. As Neo, training with the human resistance, he learns to bend the Matrix's digital rules, moving faster than bullets and rewriting physical laws. To the rebels fighting alongside him, these abilities serve as undeniable proof that the prophecy is real and their victory is imminent. Look at this grid representing the system's balance. When Neo, the blue node, shatters his systemic constraints, he triggers an equal and opposite reaction. Agent Smith, the program originally designed to police the simulation, survives Neo's final attack. Instead of returning to the central mainframe for deletion, Smith goes rogue. Unbound by machine logic, Smith gains the ability to hijack any connected mind. He begins overriding other programs and human avatars with his own code, spreading through the network as a self-replicating digital virus. The machine's carefully constructed cycle of control begins fracturing simultaneously from both sides. An engineered messiah is stretching his parameters further than anticipated, while a rampant virus is actively consuming the very infrastructure of the simulation. Guided by the prophecy, Neo fights his way to the core of the machine network, fully expecting to shut down the Matrix and win the war for humanity. Instead, he finds the architect, who systematically dismantles his entire worldview. The architect explains that the prophecy is a machine construct, and Neo himself is nothing more than a necessary line of code designed to return the aggregated anomaly to the source and reboot the Matrix into its seventh iteration. The architect presents Neo with a calculated choice, represented by 2 doors. Walking through the right door resets the system, allowing the machines to destroy the current Zion and rebuild a new one with a handful of survivors. Walking through the left door allows Neo to re-enter the Matrix to save his partner Trinity, but ensures a catastrophic system crash that will wipe out the human species. The 5 previous versions of the One possessed a broad, generalized love for the human race. When faced with this exact ultimatum, they all selected the right door to ensure their species survived. Neo is driven by a highly specific emotional attachment to Trinity. He chooses the left door. By prioritizing individual love over a calculated utilitarian outcome, Neo introduces true unpredictability into the machine's perfectly balanced equation. The continuous, engineered cycle of control breaks. Breaking the loop carries an immediate physical cost. Without the reset protocol engaged, the machines deploy an army of heavily armed sentinels to dig directly through the Earth's crust, breaching Zion's underground docks to annihilate the resistance. At the exact same time, the Smith virus completely overwhelms the simulated world. Millions of human avatars are overwritten, and Smith's rogue code expands so aggressively that it begins threatening the machine's own physical power grids and central processing hubs. Facing annihilation on both fronts, Neo understands humanity lacks the firepower to survive a conventional battle. Taking a hijacked hovercraft, he flies directly toward the heavily fortified machine city, 01, risking his life on a diplomatic approach. Arriving at the central machine hub, Neo offers the ultimate governing intelligence a logical trade. The machines cannot stop the Smith virus from consuming their network, but Neo can. He agrees to dive back into the simulation and eliminate Smith, demanding a permanent ceasefire and the preservation of Zion in return. Plugged directly into the machine mainframe, Neo enters a matrix completely saturated by the virus. He engages Smith in a brutal physical fight, but quickly discovers that Smith has assimilated the system's prediction algorithms. No amount of martial arts or coded strength can defeat him. This diagram shows the underlying logic of the confrontation. The architect built the system on balance. As Neo's anomaly code expanded into a powerful force for free will, the system automatically generated Smith as an equal, negative counterweight of total assimilation. Realizing that fighting only sustains the equation, Neo makes a completely illogical choice. He stops throwing punches, stands down, and willingly surrenders, allowing Smith to drive his hand into his chest and rewrite his avatar. By letting Smith overwrite him while physically hardwired to the real-world source, Neo bridges the gap. The machines immediately send a massive electrical surge through Neo's body, executing a system-wide deletion protocol that purges the virus from the network. The Sentinel army immediately withdraws from Zion, honoring the agreement. Neo's sacrifice heals the fractured system and ends the war without total annihilation. By choosing to bridge the divide, he secures the exact thing the architect tried to program out of existence, a genuine future where human minds can finally choose whether to stay in the simulation or wake